All right, today we're going to unpack a classic fairy tale, and this one's got it all. Royal intrigue, a really scary prophecy, and, get this, a surprisingly heroic one-eared dog. Yep, you heard that right. So right at the heart of the story is this huge question, one we've all probably thought about. Can you actually escape your destiny? Are we in the driver's seat, or is our fate just sealed from the start? I want you to keep that in your head as we get into the story of Princess Huria. Okay, so our story kicks off with a really happy moment, the birth of Princess Huria. Her parents, the king and queen, and her two older brothers, Hyder and Jafar, are just completely over the moon. So they do what you do in these stories, right? They invite the fairies to come and predict the baby's future, probably expecting to hear all this amazing stuff. Well, they were very, very wrong. Yeah, instead of blessings and good fortune, the fairies drop this absolutely chilling prophecy. They tell the queen that her beautiful new daughter, Huria, is actually destined to cause huge trouble for her brothers, and might even be the reason they die. I mean, can you imagine all that joy from her birth just vanishes, replaced by this awful creeping fear? So the parents are completely desperate. They're looking for any solution that doesn't involve, hurting their own daughter. They go to this wise old dervish for advice. And his solution is, well, it's pretty drastic, but it seems like their only option. He tells them that to stop the prophecy from coming true, Huria has to be locked away in a tall tower, completely cut off from the entire world, and especially from her brothers. And just think about that sacrifice. We're talking 16 years. For 16 long years, Princess Huria grows up all alone in that tower. Her only friend is loneliness. She has no idea what a flower looks like, what a tree is, nothing about the world outside her four walls. And this is the crazy part, right? This big move they make to avoid fate, it ends up being the very first thing that starts pulling the chain of that fate into motion. So, fast forward those 16 years. The king and queen have passed away, and Huri's older brother, Hyder, is now the king. And what's the very first thing he and his brother Jafar do? They race to that tower and they finally set their sister free. For Huria, her life is literally just about to start. And as Huria is out exploring the palace gardens for the first time, she sees something that just completely blows her mind. A peacock, showing off all its incredible feathers. Now, you gotta remember, she's never seen anything like this. So her reaction, thanks to being locked away for so long, is, well, it's a little dramatic. She makes this huge, solemn vow right then and there. She will only marry the king of these amazing birds, the Peacock King. Her brothers, who just love her to bits, agree to this kind of bizarre request. I mean, what else are they going to do? So they get a perfect portrait of her painted, and then they set off on this epic quest. They search the entire known world, they go through this weird place called the Land of Flies, and eventually they finally find the legendary Peacock Kingdom. So they meet the Peacock King, who turns out to be this handsome young guy. He sees Huria's portrait, and he is just floored. He's like, yes, absolutely, I'll marry her. But then he lays down this terrifying condition. He says, if she shows up and she's not as beautiful as this painting, I'm going to have both of you beheaded for trying to trick me. And just like that old prophecy starts to feel very, very real. So the deal is struck. The brothers send a message for Huria to come to the Peacock Kingdom. Meanwhile, they're basically held as collateral, stuck in a dungeon until she gets there. Huria, of course, is ecstatic. She sets sail with her maid, someone she trusts, and the maid's daughter, totally clueless that danger is a lot closer than she thinks. Well, it turns out the maid is this cruel, ambitious woman, and she sees an opportunity. She gets together with the boatman and they hatch a plan. In the middle of the night, they throw the sleeping Huria overboard, mattress and everything. The idea is to pass her own not-so-pretty daughter off as the princess. But she makes one huge mistake. You see, Huria's mattress, it's stuffed with magical phoenix feathers. So instead of sinking, it just floats. And what follows is just pure chaos. The Peacock King shows up, all excited to meet his bride, and instead of the gorgeous woman from the portrait, he gets this rude, demanding, and frankly, really ugly imposter. The crowd is stunned, the peacocks are apparently squawking like crazy, and the king, he is just filled with pure rage. He thinks he's been played for a fool, right? So he immediately orders that the two princes be executed. It looks like the prophecy is coming true after all. All because of their sister's wish, the brothers are now sentenced to die. They manage to beg for a 7-day delay, just a little time to hopefully prove they're innocent. Okay, so what about Huria? While her magical mattress eventually washes up on shore, she and her loyal little pink dog, Pridolin, are found by this kind but very poor old man who takes them in. Now, Huria is starving, but she's still a princess, and she's a bit too proud to eat the old man's stale bread. So she gives her dog a mission: go into the city and bring back the best food you can find. And Pridolin is one clever dog. He makes a beeline straight for the royal palace. Day 1, he sneaks into the kitchen and snags the entire platter of meat that was meant for the king. The king is left hungry and just totally confused. Day 2, he does it again. This time, he grabs the whole roast right off the spit. Now the king isn't just confused, he's furious. And his chefs have absolutely no idea what's going on. Day 3, the little dog comes back and steals the king's dessert. Okay, so the king has now missed his dinner for 3 days straight. He has had it. He orders his top advisor, the vizier, to hide in the kitchen and catch whoever this thief is once and for all. So, the vizier does his job. He follows this little dog all the way from the palace to this tiny, humble hut. And when he peeks inside, he's expecting, I don't know, a gang of thieves. But what he sees completely stuns him. It's just a small dog delivering a royal feast to a girl who is just breathtakingly beautiful. The vizier arrests all of them, Huria, the dog, the old man, and drags them in front of the king. The king is convinced they're all in on the same plot to trick him, so he sentences them to be executed too, right alongside the 2 brothers, the very next day. So now, every single one of our heroes is lined up, ready for execution. But then, as the old man is tearfully explaining how he just found this poor girl who washed ashore, the king finally takes a good, hard look at Huria, and his eyes just go wide. He recognizes her in an instant. That's her! She's the girl from the portrait! And suddenly, the whole truth just comes spilling out. He immediately yells for her ropes to be cut and for her brothers to be set free. And just like that, with the truth out, everything gets sorted. The evil maid and her daughter, thrown in prison for life. Huria's brothers, they're celebrated as heroes. And the Peacock King, of course, marries the real Princess Huria in this huge 15-day festival. Oh, and Pridolin the dog, he gets to live like a king in the palace for the rest of his days, eating all the royal feast he wants. So let's go back to that awful prophecy for a second. What happened to it? Well, in the end, Huria didn't cause her brothers' deaths at all. In fact, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. The very things she did that put them in so much danger were the exact same things that led to them being saved and to her own marriage. The prophecy was totally, completely avoided. Which really leaves us with one last thing to chew on. Think about it. If Huria hadn't been locked in that tower, would she have ever made such a wild vow about a peacock king? And if her brothers hadn't been so scared of the prophecy, would they have agreed to the king's life or death deal? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Was the very act of trying to run from destiny the thing that made it happen?